Now we're going to talk about arrays in here. You've already been introduced that in the earlier class. But array is a list of numbers or list of something, such as a list of integers. And there's a lot of different things you can have that are lists, collections. So we're going to expand upon this in coming classes. And even it goes even further where you got something called a database, which is basically a collection of items. So it's a list of something, not called an array. We have different concepts for that, but the idea is you're storing multiple items. Now, if I store these numbers, 8, 12, 32, 41. My length of the array is going to equal 4 because there's 4 items. The indexing, we've talked about this. This is true in every programming language. I have no clue why. I'm not really curious enough to explore. This is your 0th item. This is your first item. Why is it putting a dot there? 2, 3. So to access this 8, you would access your 0th item in your array. To access the 41, you would access the 3rd item. When you're looping, you want to go from 0 to 3, not 1 to 4. Now I've went through and I created just a basic app where I had 4 text fields on here and 1 button. Although I could have probably used a label here. I took all 4 of these and dragged them over here under View Controller to establish the outlet. And I call them T1, T2, T3, and T4.
Xcode doesn't make it super confusing, does it?
The what?
Or do you think it's more simple than Android Studio? Or do you think this is a little bit more difficult?
Some ways it's simpler, some ways it's harder. I love how you can just so easily get it. Like you hold down your control, drag it, drop it here, and give it a name. And then all of a sudden you can just refer to it directly down here as t1.txt. That's it. Android Studio, you have to set up your edit text, and then you have to get text, change it to string, maybe change it to a number. It's just like
You have to call to it and set it.
right. Somebody just needs to take the best of both worlds and come up with the best programming language. Supposedly there is one. A lot of people are raved about Julia. I haven't downloaded the package yet and looked at it, but it's like they looked at every programming language and took the best out of everything, put it into one. So
Yeah.
okay, so I've set up those connections, and then I took my button and I dragged it and set up the connection down here. Now this does raise a little bit different. So say var, and here's my name of my array. And you notice inside of brackets here I say float. So that's whatever your data type is. If you want integer, you put integer in there, so forth. This sets it equal to an empty. So there's nothing in the array to begin with. Now, I declared an N1, N2, N3 to be float, and I've declared the sum to be a float. So my goal here is to bring in these three values, assign them to N1, N2, and N3, and then I want to add them together. Nothing exciting. And put the sum of them down here. You might say, well, we've already done that. We added numbers before. Well, this is different because I'm storing them in an array temporarily, and then I'm going to go through and add them. Okay, so N1 is equal to float. That converts the string to a float. And here I have to my T1.text, exclamation, and exclamation on the outside there to get it to work. Same with N2 and N3. And then I'm going to nums.append. That takes the N1 and adds it to my array, to my list.
Okay.
Append N2 adds it to my array, my list, and append N3 does also. So I've just added those three numbers that you input in here into my array. I'm going to set the sum is equal to 0. Because I'm accumulating and there's nothing in there to begin with.
Right.
Now notice I got in 3 items in my array now. Remember, your indexing starts at 0 and goes up. So the first item is the 0th item, the next item is your first item, then the next one is your second item. So it goes from 0 to 2. And the sum is equal to the sum plus nums. And notice the bracket there. This is how you retrieve a value from an array. We didn't look at this in Android Studio. We will on Thursday. But that's how you retrieve a value. Now, in Android Studio, we had that nice function where you did a dot, get selected or something like that. And that's done some of the coding for you. This is where you're specifically telling it which one to pull.
So instead of giving it like variables that we're going to select from, we're taking variables that they enter? Or
Yes. Yeah, they'll input values here.
okay, and then we'll just hit the button and it displays what?
What the sum is.
Okay. Oh, what the sum is?
You know, that probably would be a good project, you know, to have like, what's that called, where you spin it? It's got a name in.
I don't remember. I was gonna say, I didn't know if we were doing like we retrieve what they put and then we do just like the set text where it shows what they chose.
No, we're actually going to add them together.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What in the world's it called? I thought there was a search here somewhere. The filter?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm confusing this with Android Studio. Spin. No? Count? No? Should be right in here, I think. We had the slider. Maybe there isn't one. Oh well. And then I say t4.text and I change it to a string and then write it out. I'll show you what that looks like.
I could really see the boxes.
Yeah, it should get more colorful. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 5 is 12, and gives us that.
Okay. So is this what, as far as the project goes, what would you want us to?
Well, part one of that, and we'll see how far you get. Part one of that is I want you to have 10 numbers on the screen, and I want you to calculate the average.
Calculate the average.
Right.
So where they input 10 numbers.
They'll have, yeah.
Okay, so there'll be 10 text boxes,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll gather all that, and then it'll be the average. Okay.
Right.